It started with tire marks. Not a flood, not a house fire, not even a petty theft, just tire marks gouged across my front lawn. At first, I dismissed it an Amazon truck, perhaps, or some delivery driver struggling with a three-point turn. But this wasn't random. The ruts appeared every morning, for 2 straight weeks, in the exact same spot, my corner patch of grass near the mailbox. This was intentional, repeated, and it felt deeply personal. So, I invested $39 in one of those cheap security cameras advertised on late-night YouTube. Best money I ever spent. The camera captured it all, a silver Mercedes SUV, driven with Olympic-level precision, cutting across my lawn. License plate, driver's face the works. And behind the wheel? Let's call her Brenda. The name fit her like a custom-tailored sneer. Blonde highlights like straw soaked in bleach. Oversized sunglasses that hid nothing of her perpetual offense at the world's existence. Brenda lived 2 houses down, on the cul-de-sac. Her driveway, she'd later claim, was too tight to reverse out of. So, her solution was to use my lawn as her personal U-turn lane every morning before speeding off to terrorize whatever joyless downtown boutique awaited her. I confronted her, politely at first. "Hey," I said, catching her as she was about to embark on her daily lawn desecration. "I think you've been cutting across my lawn. That's private property." She didn't even blink. "It's just grass," she declared. "Don't be dramatic." Then, a smirk twisted her lips. "Maybe if your lawn was landscaped better, I wouldn't need to drive on it." I almost laughed. The sheer audacity was breathtaking. Instead, my jaw tightened. What could I say to that level of entitled smugness? She didn't apologize, didn't promise to stop. She just put her car in reverse and, with a final, defiant look, turned her wheels straight over the edge of my sod. I watched the rubber carve another U-shaped scar into the earth. 2 days later, she escalated. An official-looking envelope from our homeowners association arrived. Brenda had filed a complaint against me for unmaintained property obstructing vehicle turnaround. Yes, that was the actual quote. She claimed my lawn was interfering with her mobility and lowering the aesthetic standards of the block. I scoured the HOA bylaws. There was no mention of lawns needing to support luxury SUVs. But Brenda had her allies on the board, a little clique of petty tyrants: Gerald, the HOA president who resembled a sentient khaki, and Patricia, who wore pearls to take out the trash. Soon, I received a letter: "Fix your lawn or face fines." The irony was a bitter pill. My property was being damaged by her, and I was the one facing penalties. I called Gerald. "Well," he drawled, "maybe you should consider paving that corner for community ease of use." "It's not a public driveway, Gerald," I stated, my patience wearing thin. "It's my lawn." He chuckled. "Technically, everything within 10 feet of the curb can be evaluated by HOA code." I wanted to scream. Instead, I got quiet. The kind of quiet that shifts from seeking fairness to strategizing tactics. Brenda had pushed the first domino. She was about to learn I played chess, not checkers. I left the ruts, a daily reminder of her trespass. 4 days later, another HOA notice: failure to respond. Fine, $175. This wasn't about grass, it was a power play. I appealed, attaching the crystal-clear video of Brenda's SUV. The HOA's response: video evidence not admissible due to potential privacy violations. Brenda had them on a leash. Patricia even sent a personal letter suggesting neighborly cooperation. I started calling them the Coven. The ruts deepened. Brenda wasn't just cutting the corner. She was accelerating through it, crushing a sprinkler head, snapping a solar light. And she started waving, a smug, triumphant wave, every time she drove across. One morning, she threw a to-go cup onto my porch. This was about control, about me submitting. When I didn't, she brought out the heavy artillery. The next HOA meeting agenda, which I wasn't formally invited to, listed Mr. Anderson, landscaping hostility and neighborly cooperation violation. I showed up anyway, much to their surprise. Brenda, at the head of the table, feigned concern. "Mr. Anderson, your behavior has become unneighborly. Is that before or after certain residents drove across my private property?" I countered. She didn't flinch. "You've created an environment of tension." Patricia chimed in about not weaponizing the HOA. Gerald recommended I install concrete edging to discourage vehicular encroachment. Vehicular encroachment, as if she were a confused Roomba. I asked about state trespass laws. Brenda cut in. Let's not make this litigious. I left, officially enemy number one. That night, an anonymous, threatening note. We don't like snitches. The next morning, a bag of grass clippings on my porch. Brenda grew bolder, using my lawn as her personal maneuvering space, even doing a three-point spin, flinging mud. You should pave it, she yelled, peeling out. Something snapped. No more polite requests. If Brenda wanted games on my property, I'd redesign the board. I wasn't trying to hurt her, just stop her. I researched legal lawn deterrence. My uncle Frank, a retired civil engineer and proud conspiracy theorist, was the perfect ally. This lady's using your lawn like a racetrack? He asked, grinning. Let's make it bumpy. We spent 3 nights burying plastic speed bumps just beneath the sod, secured with turf staples not sharp, but hard enough to jolt a car and ruin an alignment. My alibi? Aerating the soil. I even bought the tools. 3 days later, see thunk. Brenda's Mercedes jolted violently. What the hell is wrong with your yard? She shrieked from her window. Just finished aerating. I called back from my porch. Got to keep that soil healthy. She stormed over, stilettos sinking into the grass. You're tampering with HOA-controlled curb frontage. Actually, I said, producing a laminated HOA bylaw. Homeowners are encouraged to maintain soil drainage using approved ground support methods. She squinted, a crack appearing in her porcelain facade. As she reversed, her undercarriage scraped loudly. Beautiful. Another HOA complaint from her. Improper landscaping elevation, vehicular hazard. Gerald sent a warning. I emailed back my aeration strategy, soil data, and a surveyor's diagram showing compliance, CCing Patricia and the city zoning office. They backed off. I had out paperwork them. Brenda kept hitting the ridges. Her suspension sounded like a dying blender. Her bumper got scuffed. She started cutting wider turns, misjudged, and clipped my mailbox. I installed a reinforced, USPS-approved one. She looked at it with pure disgust. She was losing her nerve, hesitating, squinting at my lawn. But she hadn't learned. Then, things took a darker turn. I got curious why she'd risk her car daily. I followed her one morning. Not to her job, but to a rundown duplex. A shaggy man emerged. She handed him a pouch without leaving her car, then sped off, tossing the empty pouch in a park trash can. I retrieved it, the acrid smell of burnt foil and chemicals. My lawn wasn't just a shortcut. It was a blind spot, dodging security cameras on her route to Victor Miles, a man with 2 prior arrests for possession with intent. Brenda was involved in something shady. I installed trail cams. For a week, I recorded her trips. Then, I called a cop friend. Not for a raid, but for presence. A cruiser parked on our street during her usual run. She saw it, turned around in her own driveway. Message received. Then, an anonymous email hit the HOA. Her license plate, high-speed corner clips, footage labeled possible illicit activity. Gerald accidentally replied all, exposing their awareness. This could implicate the association if it goes public. They'd been shielding her. Now they were exposed. Brenda started using her own driveway. The truth was out. She didn't crumble, she counterattacked. A red tag on my door. Zoning compliance check required. The inspector found nothing. An anonymous noise complaint. I showed camera footage of my silent yard. Then, flyers on every mailbox. Is our neighborhood still safe? Listing hidden lawn hazards and suspected camera surveillance. It was clearly about me. I confronted her. You're spiraling. I'm protecting the neighborhood, she retorted. From you. Another fine. Unapproved decorations, my dad's old Marine Corps flag. I appealed with a photo of her giant inflatable Halloween spider. No response, just a community compliance audit targeting my house. My trash bin was knocked over, mail torn, truck keyed. But the tide was turning. Neighbors, also victims of Brenda's petty tyranny, started sharing their stories. Mr. Miller across the street, Sarah down the block. Brenda, oblivious, thought her smear campaign worked. Instead, she'd painted a target on her own back. I submitted a full dossier documents, emails, photos, videos to the state HOA regulatory board. This was legal warfare. I hired Marcus Thorne, an ex-HOA board member turned property rights advocate. "Oh, she's cooked," he said, reviewing my binder. "We sued Brenda in small claims for $10,000 property damage, defamation, emotional distress, and sent a cease and desist to the HOA board, accusing them of coordinated harassment." Gerald called, flustered, suggesting mediation. I offered peace, I told him. She ran it over with a luxury vehicle. The HOA agenda suddenly listed Board Code of Conduct Review. Brenda was rattled. Court day. She wore sunglasses indoors and a neck brace. Classic sympathy stunt, Marcus whispered. We laid out our case. Her booby trap claim was debunked by invoices for soil stabilization ridges. The flyers, the targeted fines, the HOA emails, it was damning. The judge asked Gerald, "Is your board in the habit of protecting criminal behavior for the sake of appearances?" Gerald shrunk. We won. $6,800 in damages. The judge recommended a full third-party HOA audit. The next day, an HOA email. Brenda Miller has voluntarily resigned as board treasurer. She was radioactive. The HOA passed the Anderson Amendment. No fines without independent verification and a second signature. I had buried her with her own rules. Her resignation was a reveal. Mrs. Peterson posted on the neighborhood app about unfair fines. 17 comments followed. Sarah revealed Brenda fined her for a planter Brenda herself had gifted. A whistleblower, Ken, leaked spreadsheets. Brenda had reimbursed herself over $400 in unreceipted HOA expenses. Where's the money, Brenda? Someone taped to the HOA kiosk. The TikTok of her shady dealings with Victor Miles went viral. Local news came knocking. Victor Miles was arrested again. Body cam footage showed Brenda's license plate on his frequent visitor log. Her husband listed their house, then moved out. Brenda made one last, pathetic stand. A forged HOA letter citing retaliatory landscaping aggression. It was dated after Gerald's resignation. Then, she dug up my lawn. My trail cam caught her hacking at the turf. The police came. She babbled about invasive grass, threatening her alignment. I got a restraining order, 10 feet from my property. At the spring stroll, my retaliatory landscaping was praised. Her yard, ignored. My motion sensor horn, playing a car honk when she got her mail, made her flinch. The HOA audit revealed Brenda had skimmed over $2,300, including for her car's suspension damage. She was banned citywide from HOA boards. The Miller Clause became a new city ethics rule. Neighbors sued her personally. Her car was repoed, another viral TikTok. Then, silence. One Thursday, a moving truck. A final, bitter post on the neighborhood forum. She left before dawn, leaving tire marks on her own lawn. A thank you card appeared in my mailbox. You saved the street. Her house sat empty. Then a young couple, Sam and Lisa, moved in. They were normal, friendly. I gave them a flash drive. Everything you need to know about surviving this cul-de-sac. The neighborhood healed. They overturned Brenda's petty rules, threw a block party. The landscape architect who bought Brenda's house next transformed it into a pollinator garden, Miller's Hollow, burying her nonsense with irony. I removed my cameras, my motion horn. Peace. Brenda thought she ruled, but she forgot. People remember who stood up. While she tried to pave over us with fear, we planted something stronger. Community, justice, and a damn beautiful lawn.